The screaming started at 35,000 feet over the Pacific Ocean. Captain Marcus Drake's hands froze on the controls as chaos erupted in the cabin behind him. Through the security monitors, he watched masked terrorists storm the aisles, weapons gleaming under the cabin lights. Passengers diving for cover, children crying, flight attendants forced to their knees. But one passenger remained perfectly still. While 312 people panicked around her, she sat calmly in seat 22C, her emerald eyes calculating every move the attackers made. Captain Drake had no idea he was looking at the world's most dangerous woman, a ghost agent who officially died 2 years ago in a warehouse fire in Mumbai. Her name was Isabella Voss, and she was about to turn this hijacking into the terrorists' worst nightmare. Flight 447 had departed Seoul International Airport just 3 hours earlier, bound for Vancouver with a full manifest of business travelers, families, and tourists. Captain Marcus Drake, a 28-year veteran pilot, was looking forward to retirement in 6 months. His co-pilot, Lieutenant Sarah Chen, fresh from military service, handled the pre-flight checks with military precision. "Weather looks clear all the way to Vancouver," Chen reported, adjusting her headset. "Should be smooth flying tonight." Drake nodded, his weathered hands moving over familiar controls. "Famous last words," he chuckled, not knowing how prophetic those words would be. In the cabin, Isabella Voss boarded with the efficiency of someone accustomed to staying invisible. Auburn hair pulled back, designer glasses, a charcoal business suit that screamed corporate executive. Her only luggage was a sleek black briefcase that never left her side. She'd chosen seat 22C for tactical reasons. Clear sight lines to both exits, positioned to observe passenger boarding patterns, close enough to the cockpit for rapid response if needed. As travelers settled in around her, she performed her ritual scan. That's when she spotted them. 5 men, boarding separately, different ethnicities, different ages. But Isabella's trained eye caught the tells: identical tactical boots, beneath casual clothing, the way they avoided eye contact, while maintaining peripheral awareness of each other, how they positioned their carry-ons for quick access. Professional, military-trained, coordinated. Isabella opened her laptop and began typing what appeared to be a business report. In reality, she was documenting each terrorist's position, physical characteristics, and likely weapon placements. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with practiced ease, but her mind was already 3 moves ahead. The plane leveled off at cruising altitude. Dinner service began. Most passengers relaxed into their entertainment systems or drifted towards sleep. Isabella maintained her cover, occasionally sipping wine, while her body remained coiled like a spring. Then it happened. At 11:47 p.m., the first terrorist rose from his seat near the rear galley. Within seconds, his 4 companions were moving. Black masks appeared. Weapons emerged from hidden compartments in their bags. The cabin exploded into pandemonium. "Everyone on the ground, now!" The leader, a tall man with cold gray eyes visible through his mask, grabbed the nearest flight attendant. "This aircraft is under our control." Passengers screamed, dove under seats, clutched their children. Emergency alarms shrieked through the cabin as pressure sensors detected the sudden movement. In the cockpit, Captain Drake immediately engaged the security lockdown protocol, sealing the reinforced door. "Sole Control, this is Flight 447. We have a security situation. Declaring emergency." Co-pilot Chen pulled up the cabin surveillance feeds. "Oh my God," she whispered, staring at the monitors showing masked figures terrorizing passengers. But Drake's attention locked onto seat 22C. While everyone else cowered in terror, the woman in the business suit sat perfectly upright, her head turning with mechanical precision as she tracked each terrorist's movement. "Chen, look at 22C, he murmured. "Something's not right about her." Before Chen could respond, the cockpit communication system buzzed with a harsh voice. "Captain, You will receive new coordinates in 30 seconds. Deviate from them or attempt to contact authorities, and we start executing passengers. Acknowledge immediately. Drake exchanged glances with Chen. This is Captain Drake. I understand. In the main cabin, the terrorists worked with military efficiency. The leader, whose name was Viktor Petrov, though Isabella would learn this later, directed his team to separate passengers by nationality. Americans to the left, Asians to the right, Europeans in the center. Phones, tablets, all electronics in the bags, Petrov commanded. Anyone found hiding a device will be shot. Isabella dutifully surrendered an older smartphone, but Drake noticed through the cameras how her movements seemed too controlled, too precise. When directed to the American section, she stumbled slightly, the first awkward movement he'd seen from her. As she bent to collect her dropped passport, she came face to face with one of the terrorists checking documents. Their heads drew close for just a moment. Isabella's lips moved slightly. Words formed with minimal movement. The terrorist's posture changed. His eyes widened behind his mask. He straightened quickly, returning her passport without the thorough inspection he'd given others. "Did you see that?" Drake whispered to Chen. She said something to him. Chen was running facial recognition protocols on the security feeds. Marcus, the tall one, leading them. "I've seen his profile in intelligence briefings. Viktor Petrov. Ex-Spetsnaz, now works for a shadow organization called Nexus Syndicate." Drake's blood ran cold. Nexus wasn't a typical terrorist group. They were mercenaries who specialized in high-value extractions and strategic operations. This wasn't random violence. This was a precisely planned operation. The aircraft had already begun changing course based on the new coordinates. Through his instruments, Drake could see they were heading toward a remote island in the North Pacific, nowhere near any commercial flight paths. Victor moved to the center of the cabin, his weapon trained on a young mother holding her infant. "Your governments have been notified of our demands," he announced. "Cooperation ensures survival. Resistance ensures death." To emphasize his point, he fired a single shot into the ceiling. The sharp crack sent fresh waves of panic through the passengers. A businessman fainted. An elderly woman began praying loudly. Isabella's reaction was different. While others flinched or covered their heads, her gaze fixed on the emergency exit handle, 12 rows ahead. Her muscles tensed subtly, weight shifting onto the balls of her feet. One of Victor's men approached her section with water bottles, responding to a passenger's medical complaint. As he bent down, Isabella's entire demeanor transformed. Her breathing pattern changed, deeper, more controlled. Her hands relaxed but repositioned with lethal purpose. Victor selected his demonstration victim, a young businessman in an expensive suit. "You," he pointed. "Stand up. Come here." The man rose on shaking legs. "Please, I have a family." "Your government needs motivation," Victor replied coldly, dragging him toward the front of the aircraft. That's when Isabella Voss decided it was time to stop being a passenger. Isabella moved like liquid death. In one fluid motion, she grabbed the water bottle from the terrorist's hand, twisted it to create leverage against his wrist, and drove her other hand into a precise nerve cluster at the base of his neck. The man collapsed silently. Before anyone could process what had happened, she had already accessed his concealed weapon and neutralized the second terrorist with clinical efficiency. A strike to the solar plexus, followed by an elbow to the temple as he doubled over. The cabin froze in collective shock. Victor released his hostage and barked orders to his remaining 2 associates. They retreated toward the rear galley, dragging 3 passengers as human shields. "Everyone stay down," Isabella commanded. Her voice transformed from corporate executive to military authority. "Heads down, hands over your necks." In the cockpit, Drake and Chen stared at the monitors in disbelief. "What the hell just happened?" Chen whispered. "I have no idea," Drake replied. But whoever she is, she's not an ordinary passenger. The galley phone rang. Drake hesitated before answering. Captain Drake, this is Agent Isabella Voss, Strategic Intelligence Division. Authorization code Whiskey 7 Alpha Thunder. Your aircraft has been targeted as part of a larger operation. I need immediate cockpit access. Drake exchanged glances with Chen. Ma'am, I cannot open this door during a security incident. It's strict protocol. Captain, Isabella's voice was urgent but controlled. The coordinates they've given you lead to Serpent Island, a former Soviet testing facility. There's a secondary extraction team waiting. This isn't a simple hijacking. It's Phase 1 of Operation Ghost Protocol, a coordinated strike on major transportation hubs across the Pacific Rim. Thousands of lives hang in the balance. Chen was already running the authorization code through their secure systems. Her face went pale. Marcus, the code validates. But according to our database, Agent Isabella Voss was killed in action 18 months ago in Mumbai. Status: deceased. Isabella's voice came through the phone with grim understanding. I've been operating under deep cover since the Mumbai incident. Only Director Harrison knows my operational status. There's a mole in the agency feeding information to Nexus Syndicate. That's why I had to die. While maintaining visual contact through the security cameras, she accessed the terrorists' communication device. Without warning, she broadcast a message that made Victor's blood run cold. Hello, Victor. Remember Prague? Your brother made the same mistake, trusting Nexus. In the rear galley, Victor visibly stiffened. Who is this? You know exactly who this is, Isabella replied calmly. The woman you thought died in that warehouse fire in Mumbai? Voss died in Mumbai, Victor responded, his composure cracking. We confirmed it. That's what Nexus wanted you to believe. They're using you, Victor. The coordinates they gave you, it's a kill zone. They're sanitizing loose ends, starting with you. The exchange confirmed Isabella's identity more effectively than any authorization code. Drake watched Victor's reaction. Shock mixed with recognition and growing fear. Chen, establish secure communication with Strategic Command, Drake instructed. While his co-pilot worked the encrypted channels, Drake maintained visual contact with Isabella through the monitors. She moved through the cabin with predatory grace, checking on injured passengers while keeping the remaining terrorists in sight. The secure channel crackled to life. Flight 447, this is Strategic Command. Authentication protocol confirmed. Agent status: deep cover level Obsidian. Captain, you are authorized to implement Emergency Protocol 9 at your discretion. Protocol 9 was unprecedented. It allowed cockpit access to verified operatives during active hostage situations. The fact that Strategic Command had authorized it confirmed the severity of the threat. Copy, Command, Drake responded, his finger hovering over the door release. Implementing Emergency Protocol 9. The cockpit door unlocked with a metallic click. Isabella entered swiftly, her movements economical and precise. Up close, Drake could see what the cameras hadn't captured. The network of scars along her collarline, the hyper-aware alertness in her eyes, the way she instinctively cataloged every angle and exit, even in the confined cockpit space. Captain Drake, Lieutenant Chen, she acknowledged. Thank you for the trust. I'm not sure I trust you yet, Drake replied honestly, but I want to understand what's happening to my aircraft. Isabella moved to the navigation console without asking permission. 6 months ago, intelligence identified a pattern suggesting Nexus Syndicate was planning coordinated strikes on Pacific transportation hubs. They're not ideological terrorists. They're strategic destabilizers who profit from chaos. She pulled up their current flight path. These coordinates lead to Serpent Island, a former Soviet biological testing facility. No refueling capability. No legitimate landing infrastructure. The perfect place to dispose of evidence, including this aircraft, its passengers, and the operatives who hijacked it. Why eliminate their own people? Chen asked. Because Victor's team knows too much about the larger operation, Isabella explained. After forced landing, a missile strike eliminates all witnesses and creates an international incident that diverts security resources from the real targets. She turned to Drake with intense focus. Captain, what I'm about to propose will put everyone on this aircraft at risk, but it's our only chance to prevent a larger catastrophe. Drake studied Isabella's face, searching for deception. 30 years of flying had taught him to read people under pressure. What he saw was controlled desperation, someone carrying an enormous burden who had run out of safe options. What exactly are you proposing? He asked. We convince Victor that we're following his demands, while actually executing a course change to Yokota Air Base in Japan. It's the closest secure facility with appropriate response capabilities. That's a significant heading change, Chen noted. The terrorists will notice. Not if we manipulate the cabin display systems to show our original course, Isabella countered. Commercial systems have override capabilities for testing purposes. Drake knew she was right. The system could display false navigation information in the passenger cabin while following a different actual course. And Victor and his remaining team? I need to convince them that Nexus has betrayed them. With your permission, I want to return to the cabin and attempt a final negotiation. That's suicide, Drake objected. I've been tracking Nexus operations for 2 years, Isabella replied. I have leverage. Information about their families, their real identities, evidence of Nexus's systematic betrayal of operatives. Victor may be a terrorist, but he's also a man who believes he's fighting for a cause. When he realizes he's been manipulated, there's a chance for resolution. Drake weighed the options. Standard protocol meant continuing toward certain disaster, while hoping military intervention could somehow succeed. Trusting Isabella meant violating every regulation while potentially saving everyone aboard. If I agree, passenger safety remains the absolute priority, he stated firmly. Always, Isabella affirmed with conviction. Execute the course change, Drake instructed Chen. Maintain false displays in the cabin. As Chen implemented the navigation override, Isabella prepared to return to what might be her final mission. Captain, the emergency medical kit should contain epinephrine auto-injectors. I'll need 3. Those are for allergic reactions, Drake said. Trust me, was all she replied. Drake retrieved the requested items. Before leaving, Isabella paused at the cockpit door. If this goes wrong, continue to Yokota. Military response will be waiting. And Captain, whatever story emerges from today, some truths are too dangerous for headlines. Isabella returned to the cabin transformed. Gone was any pretense of being a helpless passenger. She moved with the confidence of someone accustomed to command, hands visible but positioned for instant action. Victor, she called out clearly. We need to talk. I have information you'll want to hear. The terrorist leader kept his weapon trained on hostages. Stop right there. Any closer and I start shooting. Isabella remained 15 feet away. Check your secure communication device. You should be receiving a data stream right now. Suspicious but curious, Victor gestured for his associate to verify. The man checked their encrypted communication system, his eyes widening in alarm. Coordinates and surveillance photos, Isabella announced calmly. That's your wife, Elena, and your daughter Katya, at a safe house in Montenegro. They're alive, Victor. Nexus told you they died in the Sarajevo bombing to ensure your compliance. Victor's composure shattered. You're lying. The small scar on Katya's forehead, from when she fell off her bicycle last summer. Elena's habit of humming while she cooks. Always the same Bosnian folk song your mother taught you. They're being held as insurance to guarantee you complete this mission. Victor's hand trembled slightly. How could you know that? Because I've been tracking Nexus operations for years. They use people, Victor. They find passionate individuals, exploit their dedication, then dispose of them when convenient. Your family is alive, but they won't be if you land this aircraft where Nexus directed. Doubt crept into Victor's expression. Prove it. I can't arrange contact right now, but I can offer you something better. A chance to save them, Isabella replied. This aircraft is already changing course to a secure military facility. Your family can be extracted safely, but only if you stand down now. Drake held his breath watching the exchange on his monitors. The entire cabin was silent, except for the hum of engines and the quiet sobbing of traumatized passengers. Victor's remaining associate whispered urgently in his ear. The terrorist leader's expression hardened. You're manipulating the navigation. The coordinates don't match our heading. Isabella didn't flinch. Yes, because I'm trying to keep everyone alive, including you. Check your communication device again. That's real-time satellite imagery of your intended landing site. Count the heat signatures in the surrounding jungle. The associate checked, then looked up with wide, frightened eyes. Strike team, Isabella stated flatly. Minimum 15 positions. They're not there to help you refuel, Victor. They're there to eliminate witnesses. For several agonizing moments, Victor stood frozen in indecision. His worldview, everything Nexus had told him about the mission, his family's death, his purpose, was crumbling around him. Isabella pressed her advantage. Your daughter draws pictures of horses, always in purple crayon, because it's her favorite color. Elena makes that honey cake recipe every Sunday, the one passed down from her grandmother. They're counting on you to come home, Victor. Don't let Nexus take that away from all of you. Slowly, incrementally, Victor's weapon lowered. What happens if I believe you? You and your team will be taken into custody. Your family will be extracted to genuine safety. You'll face charges, but they'll live to see you again someday. Why would you offer this? We're enemies. My mission is stopping Nexus, Isabella replied simply. Right now, that means keeping you alive to testify against them. The standoff continued for 3 more tension-filled minutes. Then, with deliberate movements, Victor lowered his weapon completely. Tell the pilot to land safely, he said quietly. No more blood. The remainder of the flight to Yokota Air Base proceeded without incident. Military escorts joined their formation as they entered Japanese airspace, and emergency response teams prepared for their arrival. As the aircraft touched down on the secure runway, Isabella coordinated with incoming tactical units while ensuring passenger safety remained the priority. The remaining terrorists surrendered without resistance, and medical teams began treating traumatized passengers. In the aftermath, as passengers were debriefed and processed through the military facility, Captain Drake searched for Isabella among the crowds of officials and medical personnel. When he finally spotted her near the command center, she was speaking quietly with a stern-faced man in civilian clothing who had intelligence director written all over him. Their eyes met across the busy hangar for just a moment. Isabella gave him the slightest nod. Acknowledgement, gratitude, and goodbye, all conveyed in that single gesture. Then she turned and walked away, disappearing into the organized chaos of the military response. 3 weeks later, Captain Marcus Drake received a commendation at a private ceremony attended only by airline executives and select government officials. The official report cited his exceptional judgment during an unprecedented security incident. News outlets reported a successful resolution of a hijacking attempt, with credit given to skilled piloting and rapid military response. Passenger accounts mentioned an unknown woman who had somehow vanished before authorities could interview her, but these stories were dismissed as confusion following trauma. Internet conspiracy forums buzzed with theories, but no concrete answers emerged. 2 months after his early retirement, Drake was fishing off the coast of British Columbia when he received an encrypted message on a phone he didn't recognize. The text was brief. The Nexus network has been dismantled. 47 arrests across 12 countries. 3 planned attacks prevented. Sometimes the best victories are the ones the world never hears about. Thank you for trusting when protocol said otherwise. A grateful ghost. Drake deleted the message and threw the phone into the ocean. But as he watched it sink into the dark water, he understood something profound about the invisible wars fought in shadows by people whose names would never appear in history books. Somewhere in the world, Isabella Voss was preparing for her next mission, carrying burdens that ordinary citizens would never know existed, fighting battles that the headlines would never report. The ghost agent's work was never finished. And the world was safer because of people like her, the ones who chose to stand guard in the darkness so others could sleep peacefully in the light.